Here we got a older Mountain Springs hot tub, and it's tripping the breaker every about 30 seconds or so, and that's it. Come over here, we can turn all the jets on high. Everything's working properly, and that's it. I believe it's going to be the heater, because after this thing runs for about 30 seconds, it's going to go to try to heat, and as soon as it's kicking that heater on, it's tripping the main breaker. We're going to go ahead and open this up, and I'll show you how to test that heater just to make sure it's that element that's out. As you can see, it's tripped our breaker. We're going to go ahead and turn this off, and we'll go ahead and open up the compartment, the equipment bay, and that's normally below the top side. Normally just a few screws. Go ahead and open that up. Open this up. And go ahead and put our screws somewhere safe. All right, so that's it. To diagnose breaker tripping on these, normally I would just unplug one piece of equipment one at a time. Say like a pump, run it, see if it trips the breaker. Unplug the blower or the ozone, see if it trips the breaker. But with everything running on high and it was still running, that's kind of it. This heater kicks on after about 30 seconds, and that's when the breaker is tripping. So everything's pointing towards this actual heater. So we're going to go ahead and unplug the power to this heater, and that's it. If we go ahead and re-trip that breaker and it runs for over 30 seconds, we'll let it run for about 5 minutes, and if it doesn't trip, we know it's that heater element. This one's pretty easy to take the power off of to it. Just go ahead and take a couple of these screws out that are holding the power to that actual heater. I'll go ahead and remove that one, and we know black's to the top, red's to the bottom. So now there's no actual power going to this heater element, so we'll go ahead and re-trip the breaker. And as you can see, the tub's running. Go ahead and fire everything up on high, and we'll see what happens. All right, so as you can see, our relay engaged. So now there's power supposedly going to this heater. We got it unhooked, and the breaker didn't trip. So I can almost guarantee it's that heater element. Another way to check these heater elements is to check the continuity. As you can see with this old one, we're not getting anything. And with the new one, we are. So that's another way to know that this element's shot. When ordering a new heater element for your hot tub, you can use a genuine heater element that matches the style of pack you have. You just want to make sure you have the right size kilowatt heater that matches the heater that's in there. And that'll be listed usually on the actual heater tube. In this situation, we're going to use a HydroQuip universal replacement heating element, and it's going to be a 4 kilowatt. First thing we want to do is make sure our tub is off. We want zero power to the tub, so you want to kill the main breaker. If you don't have valves that actually work on your hot tub to shut the water down, you're going to have to drain and refill your hot tub. So we're going to go ahead and test these valves. They're old, but they might still work. We'll see. If they don't, we'll drain the tub out and refill. And that's it. She don't look like she's slowing down at all. So we're going to have to drain it. With our sump pump pumping out the hot tub, we'll go ahead and do the leg work. So we'll go ahead and put these screws back in. That's it. I like to finish tightening them with a manual screwdriver so that way I don't break anything. Next step is we're going to take the power points off the top of this actual heater element. And so I'm using a 3/8 wrench. That's kind of it. We'll just loosen those up. And that's it. Your new heater element will come with all this hardware. That's it. We'll go ahead and take these off. So normally what we'd have to do is we'd take out this nut, and we take this nut off right here, and then take these two split nuts and loosen these up, and this heater tube should just pull out far enough to where we can push this down, get the old heater element, put the new heater element back in it. But with this pack, the way it's sitting, it's not even screwed down, so we loosen up these two split nuts. I should be able to move it enough to be able to see down into that heater tube and get that element out. So here's a view of our new heater element. As you can see, that just sits in this heater tube just like so. And that's it. These nuts are just basically holding this up in there. And it comes with a couple O-rings that go on this that seat up there to keep it from leaking. And it comes with all the hardware that you would need to replace this. All right, now that our tub's drained, we're gonna go ahead and loosen up one of these split nuts going to the actual heater tube, and just let any water that's in that line seep out. And that's it. We'll actually inspect these heater gaskets also while we got this off. If they're in rough shape, you'll want to replace them. They're fairly reasonable also. And here's the heater gaskets. As you can see, these have been changed recently. They're in really good shape, so go ahead and reuse those. All right, with our 3/4 wrench, go ahead and loosen up our heater element. That's it. They're not super tight. They're just snug with the 1/4 turn because they do have an O-ring on the bottom side. So we'll go ahead and take those off. Just give it a couple taps and then she falls in. And that's it. You can just slide her right out the end of the actual tube. You just have to push the actual threaded ends of the heater tube down. There we go. You see, once those are pushed down, old heater tube's out, and you can see where the O-rings go. So we'll put the new O-rings that came with our package and our new heater element on. And we're just going to want to feed this back in. And if it's difficult, you can use a pair of needle nose pliers to get it back in its right spot. Now that both those are lined up, we can feed it up, and we can put on our locking nuts. I'm going to go ahead and use all the new hardware that came with it. We'll tighten those down by hand. And we'll take our 3/4 inch wrench and we'll give them a few more turns. They don't have to be super tight because it is an O-ring. That's kind of it. If you fire up your tub and you see just a little drip of water or something coming out of here, you can always give it another 1/4 turn. Heater element's in place. All that's left is to actually hook up our power to it. And they did come with new nuts with lock rings, so we'll go ahead and use those also. So with our nuts down tight and we can't slide our power wires back and forth, this heater element's installed. So all we got to do now is go ahead and put our heater gaskets back into the actual pipes, and we'll go ahead and screw our split nuts back on. And you just want these nice and hand tight, nice and snug. You don't have to wrench on them. And that's it. Once we fill it up and start it up, if we do have a little bit of a drip, you can just take a pair of channel locks or whatnot and just give it another 1/8 of a turn or so. And then this one, we took the split nut completely apart, so we'll go ahead and put that back together. So as our tub's filling and we're waiting for that to get done, we're gonna go ahead and catch up some stuff that we noticed while we were doing our repairs. And one was this pack wasn't screwed down, so why not put some screws in it and make things a little bit more secure. So that's kind of it. As we're waiting, we're just kind of overlooking everything and making sure everything looks good in here. So the tub's up and running. As you can see, it's 41 degrees because we just filled it with water. But as you can see right here, the heater is on, and we've been running for about 5 minutes now, and no breaker tripping. So definitely the heater element. This tub's fixed. Got 0 leaks. So we'll go ahead and button it back up.